story is that DHS should be recorded. That all sessions should be recorded. They should be held to the same standard as any other civil servant, police officer, anyone. I don't understand why they can't do that. Even if the kids are being recorded in this, it's not being placed out on Facebook, or I don't see what they're so afraid of. That's all I want, because I think it would stop. 99% of the corruption that goes on in DHS is if they were being recorded. I think a lot of corruption would just stop, because they know that they will have to take accountability for their actions from now on.
I think the reporting and the drug testing methods.
Yeah, and drug testing methods, I believe. Yeah, they should be drug tested more than just every 6 months. It should be your boss walks in and say, hey everyone, it's Random UA Day. And everyone has to take them.
Yeah.
That is how it should be. If Walmart DC can do that to their people, or the Walmart store, they do randoms, DHS should be held to a much higher standard than what they are being held at. They believe they are the ultimate of who do you go to complain about DHS?
I've tried to file a grievance on them.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Who do you ask to help you fight when you don't have thousands of dollars to put on a retainer for a lawyer? And most of these lawyers you're another case. You're just another case on their desk to get done and get through. Whereas when I pay a lawyer, they're like, I'm your lawyer. I'm gonna fight for you. That's how it should be for all of them. It shouldn't matter how much I make. You should be fighting for me just as hard as you would if I was handing you cash.
I'm lucky for my attorney.
Yeah, you definitely have one of the good. Imagine that a caseworker is a user and decides she doesn't like you. All she has to do is take her glove off, touch that patch once, put her glove back on, and put it in the bag. That's it. And
Well, even if she's not a user, she could do that.
Yeah, exactly. Even if she's not a user, it's so just, all of it is just so iffy.
With our support worker, technically we're not allowed to touch our own patches with anything. She'll let me straight go like this with the patch, rip the patch off the actual sticky thing and hand it to her barehanded. Now before, when we were doing that, we were not allowed to touch it at all, not even take it off. And this one will just literally
Why
let us
would
rip
it matter
off.
if you touch it? It's been on your arm for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, they don't even stick to their rules. It's supposed to be changed once a week.
Yeah.
You might get it done in 3 weeks.
Or a month. The one that left, she had hers on for a month and a week, like 5 weeks, because they hadn't got there yet. Like, is it like a pregnancy test? Like when you pee on the stick, you're not supposed to weigh more than 5?
Or it could be a false positive.
Right, it could be a false positive.
Right.
Is that not the same for a patch? Like,
You would think it would lose its
you
efficacy.
would think, like, at some point they're so elemental, and for them to just be going by some old expert. Why have you not?
Updated.
Why one expert? Like, it's sketchy. They're lazy. You don't want to do the UAs. It's easier to put a
And
patch
it's
on
cheaper.
you, and it's cheaper to put a patch on you.
I know
even if
when they
are
put me on the UAs for alcohol, finally they started doing 12-panel UAs, but they didn't want to do the 12-panel UAs because of how much it costed. They didn't want to do a blood test because of how much it costed. The drug patch is the cheapest and most effective method. How is the cheapest drug testing method the most effective?
God forbid you go get your own hair follicle test to prove them wrong.
Oh, then that really ticks
Nobody-
them off.
Oh
Nobody
yeah,
in
her
her class will.
caseworker had a hernia when she went and got, I beat for a mouth swab test, and she went and got hair follicle test.
And a few weeks ago, I had a blood test done at the hospital because I was admitted in the hospital. That patch came back positive. The blood test came back clean. She was like, well, the blood test only tests what's in your system when you get high. As soon as the high is gone, it's out of your blood. No, it is not.
Like, what?
It's still going in your system.
It's in your system. Like, are you bleeding yourself out every day? Like,
Yeah.
bleed it out of your system.
THC stays in your system for up to 10 days for
And-
blood.
And
And at the beginning of
the
this
hair
case,
follicle test is 90 days back.
And
How
at
are
the-
you getting positive drug.
She told me I would have to be using every day to fill a hair follicle. And then at the beginning of this case, it took me 6 weeks to pass this drug patch. The levels would go down, but 6 weeks from when I smoked to pass the drug patch.
But you only have to smoke once in the same room as your kid for it to show up in their hair. So
But
my
now
hair
I'll
doesn't
have
that.
patches come back for higher than the amount of my first drug patch that took 6 weeks to get out of my system. I'll have a patch come back higher than that patch and clean the next week.
Yep, that's how they did it with me. I had 3 clean patches, and they were taken. Each patch that was taken off within a week of having it on. And then after the 3rd clean patch, the next time they took my patch off, they said it was dirty. It's all like, how can I be clean within a week apart and then show up dirty again? If you guys are saying that I'm smoking weed stays in your system.
And yes, no offense.
Well, they,
But the bigger you are, the longer it stays in your system.
Yeah,
Well, they
even at the
know-
Because
beginning
it
of
collects your fat cells.
At the beginning of my case, when I kept failing drug patches for 6 weeks, I'm like, this has been like, and I just had a baby, you know, but I'm just like, this can't be right. So I was doing my own UAs, and there I was failing my UAs too at that time. Until the patch was clean, my UAs were dirty too. But now everything's clean besides the drug patches. It's like they're tampering with the drug patch, and they are so set on the drug patch, they don't care about any other method.
Yeah,
And
they
nobody
didn't
in
want to
North-
have her hair follicle test put in to the paperwork at all. Like, we
Yeah.
don't care
They
about
weren't
your
set.
You
hair
have to
follicle
rewrite the whole
test.
program if they were wrong.
Yeah.
And
And
nobody,
this is one of the only counties that use the drug patch. Like in Kansas, they do mouth swabs before every visit, random UAs, and you have to do a hair follicle every month in Kansas.
Which would make more sense. The patches are elemental.
And then if you fail a mouth swab or a UA, you have to have 3 clean tests before you can see your kid again, which is understandable.
Like, I want to take 10 people and put a drug patch on 10 random people.
I want to put one on me.
Yeah, me too. That's
'Cause
what
I
said.
know that I
want
don't
to
do it.
too. I'd love to put one on me, on like 10 random people that you know are complete.
when they did her stuff, one drug patch came back with like a 5.0 for THC. Week later, I came back with 0 in my system. So I know I've smoked weed long enough because I'm from Colorado. No,
That's not how
that
it
would have
works.
never happened. So how did your system go from a 4 something to 5 to a 0 in a week?
Mine went from a 0 to 9 point something back to a 0. And my first drug patch was a 3.8.
And when you
And all of my drug patches lately have been testing at like 1.8.
And when you call them out and say, I think my stuff's getting tampered with, oh no, there's a chain of custody. Well, I was in prison. I watched that chain of custody get messed up multiple times because my drug of choice is methamphetamine. They were telling me when I was out of prison I was doing heroin and cocaine. Well, they switched over the testing site and oh, lo and behold, Hunter was clean. So
and not a lab in this town will test those patches.
they will not touch
They
it.
won't touch them. We called.
You have to
Why?
send them out.
It's not their, they said it's not their system and they cannot provide the accurate testing for it.
There's not a lab in this town that will touch those
They
patches.
send those out to St. Louis, Missouri.
I was told that I was being difficult because I asked questions.
Gee, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I ask lots of questions.
I've been doing everything they wanted me to do. I've been clean. I've done IOP. I've done counseling on the job. My visits are going perfect. Every time my daughter's is almost placed back home, I all of a sudden fail a drug patch. I'm on blood tests, hair follicles, UAs. They all come back clean besides the patches. I finally agreed to go to a mommy and me program, and my case, like that's what the guardian ad litem and the county attorney want, and my caseworker's telling me that I'm not gonna succeed at the mommy and me program because I will not admit use because I'm not using. She had me crying for an hour and a half the other day, basically telling me even if I do this, my daughter was not gonna return home. The next day at my team meeting, it was completely different. That they were gonna place my daughter with me at the Mommy and Me program, and then after that, they were gonna have a court hearing. But she they are concerned about my mental health when they're the ones messing with my mental health by telling me this and then going around saying they don't say.
So what is the caseworker? Is she helping you or hurting you?
She's hurting me.
Be very specific and tell me how she's hurting
Like
you.
every time I have a meeting with her, she switches things around and is telling me one thing, telling me I'm not going to get my daughter back. What I'm doing is pointless, so I don't go do it to get my daughter back.
Okay. But the people at the state are telling you to do something else.
Yes.
So have you decided at this point who do you listen to?
I'm listening to my attorney and the county attorney and the guardian ad litem, and I'm leaving next month to go to this program.
And what does your caseworker say?
She says the department does not support it, but since everybody else is on board, they have to follow it.
Okay. And where is this program at?
Norfolk?
Norfolk. Okay. Did your daughter get to with you?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you see as, how long have you been apart from your daughter?
It was supposed to be a voluntary case, and they removed her anyways, but it's been going on almost 18 months.
How many?
18 months.
18 months. Wow.
Yeah.
And how often do you get to see your daughter?
5 days a week.
And how does that work with a job?
I have visits up until like an hour before I have to go to work till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and do the same thing over again every day.
When does it start?
9 a.m.
Is it at your home?
Yeah.
Okay. You just one child? Okay. All right, we'll come
These
back.
are my kids.
Okay. Okay.
And I was told that if I didn't, the judge said that if I didn't do exactly as she said, that I would lose my visits. The inaccuracy of their information was very incorrect. And I brought it up 2 or 3 times in family team meeting, and they keep saying, well, we didn't say that. Well, yes, you are saying that in court, and it's getting me in trouble. I could lose my visits with my grandchildren.
So what specifically are they saying that
They said that I told my grandchildren that they were kidnapped. I have never said that to my grandchildren, ever.
It was supposed to be a voluntary case. They only really made it a big deal because I have a my first kid, I got adopted out because I have a meth addiction, and I've been clean for 3 years ever since I went to prison. And they told me it would be a voluntary case. They'd set up a time to meet with my aunt to do a walkthrough of the home, and my daughter would go home with me. And as long as that meconium test didn't come up for anything besides THC, that was all that was going to happen. They said so the next day they were going to get a phone call, set everything up for me. Well, we never heard from them. The day I'm being released from the hospital, they showed up at my aunt's house without telling her first. She works 6 days a week doing mail route. And since my aunt wasn't home, they gave her 20 minutes to get home, put my daughter in emergency custody, and made her stay ward.
and that's what she's been since?
Yes.
So you've never had your daughter on your own since she was born?
No, I've gotten up to overnights, and then they prescribed me a med at the doctor's that they gave me a med for ADHD, and all of a sudden I tested positive for low amounts of meth. And then my doctor said there is a test we could do, a blood test, to see if it's the meds or she's actually on drugs, because this has happened before. And my caseworker denies that ever happening, like my doctor ever saying that. My counselor even has the emails about it. And so they took my overnights away, and I've been back at step 1, and they keep telling me, get 4 clean patches, you'll get your semis back. Well, ever since the guardian ad litem said that, they have made it to where every other patch comes back positive for low amounts. At my home visit the other day, if I do not admit to using that, I'm basically not going to get my daughter back. And I'm like, and she's against the Mommy and Me program. The only reason they're doing it is because this is what everybody else is for, not the department. The department is against it. And I was like, you guys wanted this just a couple months ago. And she was like, well, I thought you were going to admit to using sooner. You guys tell me not to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say I used when I didn't use.
So my question is,
That's
would you guys support a program, because it would be a lot faster than what you're dealing with, would you guys support a program that would say, we're taking your kids away because we believe they're in danger. Okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's pretend they love your children and they want to make sure they're safe, whatever. Okay, but let's pretend that they actually care. Okay, so they're gonna take your kids away and they're gonna place them somewhere safe. Would you guys support them saying, okay, now cuff me, take me somewhere safe, take me to a whatever, and put me there for a month, and then test me?
Yep.
Because then put a camera on me, keep me in the corner, prove to you that I am not using, and then have those patches come back and see what happens.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would be?
Yeah.
They arrested my daughter and held her in a holding cell for 3 days because they wouldn't extradite her back here over the weekend. And she got out of jail testing positive for meth. In a holding
I don't know
cell.
how long that stays in the system, Matt,
Meth is 3 days.
3 days.
2 to 3 days in the system, depending on your metabolism.
depending on what?
Metabolism.
Oh, okay.
Like if you're a thin person like me, you can push it out within under a day and a half, 2 days, depending on how much water you're drinking. If you're heavy set, it's gonna be there a lot
And are they saying the patches will pick it up for a longer time?
They
They
won't tell
told
you how
me
much.
they told me that the patches should only show up for about a week after, like for THC. I know for THC they say after you use the patches only pick up for a week, but it stays in your system 30 days. And I had a long period of getting clean patches, and right when you're gonna, I had almost 20 clean patches, and a week before court they said I had a positive patch, and they were supposed to place my daughter home in that court date.
That's kind of like me. I don't smoke, I don't do any of that, and since our case has been going, I've tested for small traces of THC. I've only had 3 negative patches, and the judge, last time I went to court, or we went to court, the judge looked at me and was like, you need to tell the truth to your counselors because there's no way you could test for marijuana just by exposure.
They're exposure patches.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
You
sense.
follicle test on my kids when you think I'm using, because they're gonna get the contact from what I'm smoking. So telling me that a patch is not elemental, then you don't know your job.
Yeah,
If you notice, all of us
I
are
paid over
low
$100
income,
for a hair
low income,
follicle.
or we can't afford our own attorneys.
Right.
And there's not an attorney
You're
here.
at the mercy of
Well-
some nice caseworker coming along.
My caseworker says the only reason I'm even able to go to this program is because my attorney is bullying them into making it.
Marijuana.
Yeah,
My attorney's doing her job.
yeah. Her attorney's doing her job.
Yeah, my caseworker says the only reason I'm being able to go to the program I'm going to is because my attorney is bullying them into it.
Well, good for your attorney.
No, my attorney's doing what she's supposed to.
Right. Sounds like you have a good one.
I feel like they stretch these cases out, like in Tiffany, stretch it out to that 15-month mark.
Yep.
Because
Every
state
time.
law is that they can terminate your rights no matter how hard you're trying, no matter what hoop you've jumped through. You've reached 15 months. We're gonna terminate your rights.
It's
Just
been 3 years.
because.
It was 3 years with my grandkids.
Yeah.
That's what Casey and I got.
And they only,
well,
the affidavit, they only have,
You have 10 to 15 months
ask for
to
one
correct
kid.
this, or your kids are gone.
But if your caseworker stretches
Like that
it,
gave us no hope. It's like 10 to 15 months.
Yep.
We're at 7 months. You guys ain't doing nothing, so it's really hard to keep that hope if they're coming home.
And we got told in court, or before court, when we did the adjudication, we got told by our attorneys and the county attorney that if we pled guilty, or if we didn't plead guilty or no contest, they were going to do a termination hearing right then and there. We were not allowed to take it to trial. We were not allowed to fight it. And we told our attorney several times, emails, text, everything, that we felt we were being coerced, and we felt like we
Bullied.
were getting bullied into taking this plea. And they're like, oh, well, you guys, there's no hope. They have a big case against you. And we went into the court that day for the adjudication hearing, and the judge asked, do you guys feel coerced? My husband,
I backed down.
he backed down, and I said, yes, I do. And she goes, well, we won't get you guys won't get a trial to fight what you guys want to say. We're gonna take it to termination. So do you feel coerced? And I was like, okay, no. And they're like, do you understand? Do you agree to plead no contest? And I was like, sure. And the judge said it's either a yes or a no. And,
And I
I
told
said,
her-
sure.
And I told her to say yes under duress,
But if you
because
if you
it
answer-
is under duress.
but
They're
if you-
bullying
If
her.
you answer under duress, they will not accept it. Period. And
It's gotta be
in
a
court,
yes
they
or a
tell
no.
you, are you being threatened? Are you being coerced? Are you anything?
But if
And
you
then
say
they won't
yes-
listen to you when you say yes. It's all, okay, well, that's not the answer I want. Well, I just gave you the answer, yeah, I'm being threatened. I'm trying to let you know this is not what I want. Okay, well, we don't care. It's either yes or no.
When you do stand up, then, like he says, then you're punished for it. They held my daughter on a $100,000 bond for 4 months, then told her that if she took a plea agreement of pleading no contest, they'd reduce the bond so that we could bail her out. And my daughter hadn't seen her or talked to her kids in 4 months. And then you see in the paper where somebody gets busted with 20 pounds and they get $50,000 bond in the same county. I mean, where is everything equal? Where's
Calling him in for the bruises for her son. And instead of listening to her, they turned around and walked in just out of nowhere one day. She called me up. She's like, they just took my baby. It's like, why? No idea. Going good. Nothing wrong with the baby. Nothing, no bruises on the baby. Fed, healthy, but the bruises on the boy, coming from the other house, ended up having her daughter taken from her. And then her patches coming up dirty too, and we knew she was clean. The patches haven't, and they only put patches on some, the ones that look like that are gonna get terminated.
Yeah,
Get the
there's some
patches.
people that are only on UAs and they
Yeah.
get their kids back.
And they
And
get
I'm
the
on
kids back
both.
within
My
weeks.
UAs are always clean. I've
Yep.
never failed a UA. There is treatment centers that will not accept me because I cannot fail a UA.
Yep.
It's like, but I feel like, truly, I feel the system targets lower income families and the ones that they know that have had previous interactions with DHHS, like through our parents, through us. I think they target those ones and the drug addicts, because then they're all, okay, we can break these ones down and they'll do what they want, and then when we start fighting back, we get nasty repercussions.
You are grandparents that are loving and can provide an excellent home, and because you're related to the daughter, that's not even looked at.
Well, that's true.
Or because you're emotional.
Well, they take my grandkids. They're my life. I don't even want to get out of bed, not being able to see them.
But if you say that in court,
Then
what
you're
you're gonna,
suicidal.
then when you tell them that your grandkids are your life, your heir, whatever, well, what do you want that's we're looking at the best interest of the child.
And there's-
Well, the best interest of the child is to be with
Stay
me,
with the
With
family.
family.
within the family. We're Greek. We don't put our children out in foster homes and stuff like that.
And
I'm their support system,
Like my-
and I will fight to the end. I have to ask, because every time you turn around, the rules are different. You can't do this, or you can't do that, or you can't say this, because it's against the rules, and they can take my visits. And I told the GAL, those grandkids are my life. I've been with them since before they were born. They lived with me, these kids live with me. And the GAL told me, what's more important, your rights or your grandkids? And to me, they both are important, the GAL.
So what does the court want you to do?
I have no idea.
But if you ask questions, they tell you.
I get in trouble. Oh, the social worker or the caseworker. If you ask her questions, you get a politician answer, or you get some kind of crazy answer that makes no sense. I only get 2 visits a month on Fridays, every other Friday. That's it. I ask for more time at family team meeting, no. And I've done nothing wrong.
Do they give you reasons?
When we first started our case, they didn't even bother to call me to tell me my grandchildren had been taken. Then the caseworker made a statement that said that I couldn't pass a background check. I passed my background check with flying colors. And I did it voluntarily. I go to the family meetings.
Okay. And who all is there?
Usually the GAL, the caseworker, her boss, The caseworker and her boss are there. Who else is there?
Their attorneys.
The attorneys are there.
Okay, and are you allowed to talk?
Not really, but I do anyway. I say my piece.
Do you feel like that hurts you or helps you?
It helps me it helps me to say what I need to say so that they hear it. Because if you don't say or speak up, they just do whatever they want. They stomp all over your rights. You're not allowed to, you're not allowed freedom of speech. Because when they write it, when they take their copious notes that they supposedly take, it's not ever put in the context that you say it. Not ever.
But do you feel like the things that you're saying are being heard?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
And you have 2 children involved, okay?
2 grandchildren, yes.
Okay. And how long have they been gone?
Almost
Since
7
March,
months now.
right?
Almost 7 months.
And what does the case look like? I'm gonna switch to you guys now. So we've talked before, and so how do you think things are going?
I don't think they're moving forward at all.
It just feels like they put us in a tar pit and just left us. Oh, you're doing so good, and then we go to court, we get straight crucified every time. It doesn't matter what we do to
It's
do
very
anything
negative.
right. It's always negative. Like they want me to do inpatient therapy for smoking Delta 8. I'm a concrete worker. I have to support my family. I don't have time for that. And now they're throwing a fit and saying I'm being combative with me. No, I'm not. I have a family to support. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I go to work. My life consists of get up at 5 a.m., leave the house by 6:30. I don't come back until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I'm in bed already. Like, I have no life. And they act like I'm out doing criminal stuff.
Yeah.
Are they? Do they even give you options?
Nope.
Because could they have, like, if he's the problem, and I'm not saying that you are,
Yeah.
but if he's the problem, will the court consider? Will they even listen to you and say he's going to move out, let them come home with mom? Will they let you do anything like that?
No, they are using anything and everything against both of us.
They admitted to me and my wife straight up that they are targeting her, but the one they're after is me. And it's not fair to me. You know, I try my hardest. I was a drug addict for almost 5 years ago, and I shut that door, and I've been nothing but a good father and husband to my family, and I'm cut down at every turn.
What do you think they want from you?
I think they have an alternative motive of keeping our kids because we have completed every single goal that they had in our case plan except for the drug patches. They keep on saying that our drug patches are showing up for native THC, and he has a doctor's note from his primary that says the Delta 8 is fine, and because it's legal here in Nebraska. And they're like, nope, and there's no way the drug patches will show positive for Delta 8. They can't, drug patch results can't differentiate between Delta 8 and native THC. And it's all like, okay. And they told my husband, you know, quit smoking the Delta 8. You need to go ask your primary doctor for painkillers.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, give a drug addict another substance, but I shut them down. I went to the pain clinic and I was all, she asked me, do you want painkillers? I was all, drug addict side of me, yeah, I want them. But I'm not going to open that door. She goes, okay, we'll find other stuff to relieve your pain for you. And it's working so far, so.
Other than the Delta 8?
Yep. They
So
have
is
me
that
in
something the state is understanding?
They're starting to, but they're still nailing me for smoking, and it's all, dude, what more do you want? Like, I don't change overnight.
Yep.
Meanwhile,
then-
your kids are growing up without you.
Yep. And then we bought our own personal body cam, and we tried to film them for our protection to show what they're saying to us and what we're saying. Well, we got basically stomped all over and told if we record them anymore, our visits will be taken from us and that's when they asked us, is our rights or our kids more important? It's both to me. I can
And who
prove.
asked that?
It was the caseworker, and because we had 2 caseworkers on our case because of some other reasons. But it was the caseworker that is our caseworker's boss.
We had the body cam. They told us no more, so we stopped that. We have security cameras in our house for theft and all that. They told us to deactivate our cameras so we can't defend our house from break-ins and stuff because we were recording them. I've told them multiple times, these cameras aren't for you. It's going 24/7 like a security camera will. Well, you have to deactivate it.
And since we deactivated our security cameras in our house, because we get 1 home visit every Friday with our kids, and we're not, we're still at supervised visits, not unsupervised or not semi-supervised.
They haven't moved at all.
And since we deactivated the cameras, our house has been broken into several times.
And we have no proof of showing what's going on because our cameras are now deactivated.
Can you turn them on and off when they're not there?
Oh, I'd have to rewire them all back. And,
Oh.
like, they literally made us take them off the walls, everything, and put them down. We have, like, I just started to put them back up, but they literally made us take them all down and unplug them. Don't do this, but if you do this, we'll do this. It's all.
I asked for
You're
them.
contradicting yourself. You're like, what's going on?
I asked for a written set of rules
Never provided them.
because I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
They don't tell us how to talk to our kids. They don't tell us any of that.
They're basically observing you to see if you're gonna get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or if
Like,
you're
you
gonna
know,
mess up.
They basically are, here, hang yourself. We'll be watching.
so I know we talked before in the past, we talked about how you've admitted you're a drug user.
Mhm.
You've admitted that you've made mistakes, and you've admitted you have mental health issues,
Oh, yes.
and that you have asked for help. Do you feel like you've received that?
No.
Nope.
So they want
It's used against us.
used against you.
These are my grandkids that we are fighting for. Well, they forced my daughter to terminate her rights.
2 kids?
3.
3, okay.
The granddaughter was sent to her father's in another state, but it was supposed to be an extended visit. The caseworker made it placement. The father was busted with methamphetamines and pills, and they released or dismissed the case, leaving my granddaughter down there. My
I do
grandson,
remember your case.
yes. The affidavit only asked for 1 child, and they took all 3 of them.
The fact is, the judge told them go down there, get it evaluated with the state in Idaho, and they recommended that she be sent back here.
The interstate compact.
The interstate compact said she be sent back to Nebraska. And at that point in time, the
Caseworker.
caseworker here dropped the case and set a replacement there. So now what's that got to do with it? And what the judge told her to do?
They
She
held
just
our,
dropped the case altogether and left 1 down there. And
the stepmom don't let us talk to her. It's been 3 years.
can't talk to her. It's been 3 years. I am not the father or grandfather of any of them. I've raised my own 3 kids. They've done well at my house, and we tried to get custody of her kids.
Get them
Got
placed with
our
us.
placed with us, and
We passed our background check, we passed our house inspection. And they never call us on anything. They had my daughter move out of town, so her and I don't have much contact. And then they forced her into terminating her rights last September. I see my grandson's in the store the other night, and Dad wouldn't even let us hide it.
we just rushed him out the door. And why they placed him with him, I have no idea, because the youngest one was born at 21 weeks because he
My daughter,
beat her up when she was pregnant. and it's in the paper. He beat on her abdomen.
He tried to get my daughter out of our house
Knife to her throat.
after the kids were taken, and Rob stopped him, and he put a 5-gallon bucket through our window. We were told we just have to understand he was drinking. Well, he wasn't supposed to be drinking, and that's who got the kids.
Does it seem like you're jumping through hoops and this person is doing these things
Right, exactly.
and nobody's listening to you?
Yes.
I was told I was being difficult because I asked
That's what
questions.
her,
My daughter's attorney told me
yeah,
Because you were being difficult?
I'm being difficult because I asked questions.
trying to get through to where we need to be to secure those
I have
kids.
all her notes from her community support worker, how the kids were totally 360 degrees different when they were around us. There was no fight between them. They were well-mannered compared to them cussing and swearing and beating each other up.
So the one child, is she still in Idaho?
Yes.
And the boys are here? And the boys are with their dad and the daughter is with the stepmom?
The dad and the stepmom in Idaho.
Who are the boys with here?
Their dad.
Oh, different dads?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, I apologize.
The oldest one has a different father, and she's in Idaho.
Okay.
He lives in Idaho, and like I said, before she got sent out there, he got busted with methamphetamine with intent to distribute. And he is already a felon.
For robbing a store down there at gunpoint. And I got pictures of them with guns. And they left my granddaughter down there.
Showed it all over the place that he's got weapons and is a convicted felon.
So how does a person, and this is for everybody, how does a person get help?
They tell you what to do, clerk, until they take your kids from you, and then they don't tell you how to deal with that. And it's like a death when you can't see them.
And they get angry at you for getting upset about it. I remember when they took my kids and I cried. I was crying. And I was told I was emotional. And that's part of the problem, because I'm an emotional person because I'm upset they took my children.
With our kids, I was standing there screaming at them, and they told me I was acting like a child about it and to grow up. How do I grow up when you're taking the thing that I live for? Like, that's heartbreaking. I understand there's a job, but you have to have some compassion to what you just done. You know.
Especially around the holidays. Like, some parents can't even see their kids for, like, Christmas.
We
like,
won't get to see them at all for Christmas.
If they're going to terminate somebody that has mental issues, if they're going to terminate their rights, they're required to give them a guardian ad litem. My daughter was not even offered one. They said they don't do that for adults. But it's a state law. It's a law.
It already is the case.
Yeah. They're supposed to give them a guardian ad litem to protect their rights, or everything has to be reversed.
I've never seen that happen. Have you guys?
No.
Stuff that our attorneys or someone should be present. Like, my caseworker will tell me one thing, or like when I was trying to get into this program, she told the program that not to accept me, basically. And when I told my attorney, she claims she never said that when she did say that. So that's why, like, now I make my attorney call all these people, so it's not he said, she said stuff.
Right.
Like, I'll say one thing, if no, I never said that when she said that. Like, and then the other day, like, she was at a home visit and I started crying, and because she was basically telling me even if not to go to this program, it's gonna hurt me more than anything, even though this is something that would benefit me. And when I started crying, she's like, "Don't cry, I'm not trying to make you cry," but proceeded to make me cry for almost 2 hours. I told her I wanted to stop talking, wouldn't stop hounding me, and my daughter's there. My daughter's crying because I'm upset, and she just wouldn't stop.
I
And then the
think we're
next
supposed
day,
to talk about those things during a visit.
and the next day, when I went and had my team meeting, everything she told me, she said the direct opposite. Like, if I went here, my daughter would only be with me 3 days a week at first, and then She told me that I wasn't gonna graduate the program because I will not admit that I used, because that'd be a lie. I'm not gonna lie. And it's just gonna go back to straight supervised visits afterwards. Then at the team meeting, she was talking about how every week it would move up with my daughter being there. Then they'd have a court hearing about my daughter returning home. So why'd she tell me this the day before and get me all upset like this?
I feel like it's a bully situation where they bully you to the point that you do become upset and they want you to become irrational, because if you're irrational, it's easier to remove the trauma. I went to a team meeting at one of the ladies' house with this same caseworker, and we had a recording. We weren't gonna tell her because it is a one-party state. We do know that. But so we were asking her questions, but not just like we are now. Just asking her, how much more does she need to do? Where can we help her get better in this situation? Like, it was very calm talking the entire time. Afterwards, I had gone to this young lady's lawyer with her, and he told us both that they felt bullied and ganged up on, and that we were ganging up on them and bullying them, and she's not allowed to have support with her anymore. So they basically stopped her from having any support system with her when she goes into her team meetings, her house. She's not allowed to have support anymore.
In the beginning, mine was a voluntary case, and I signed the paperwork for the voluntary case, and then they started, the patches and everything, and I had 3 dirty patches where I wasn't even using. So they basically just, the patches are faulty. They have been this entire time. I had a case for 15 months. I don't know what else to really say.
How were you finally able to get out of that?
Well, I went through 4 caseworkers throughout the entire thing, the whole 15 months I was there, and the last caseworker came in my house, said I see no problems, and dropped my case right then and there.
So that's all it took, was that caseworker dropped you. She didn't have to take you to court, she didn't have to just sign off. And it was done.
Well, we went to court, and she moved the motion with the court that we were just that everything was fine.
But it was up to her to do
Yeah, and that was after 4 caseworkers.
And how many foster homes?
I think my son went to, 5 foster homes? 5 foster homes.
While he was sick? Well, wait.
Yep, they kept moving him. They took my daughter for 5 weeks, and then after 5 weeks they gave her back to me saying that she was basically uncontrollable for the foster homes. She was just a baby. I think she was maybe 6 months old when they took her?
6, 7 months old?
Yeah, when they took her. And
we don't want to deal with this child, take her back. We don't
Yeah.
care what situation it is.
And the entire time, none of it was my fault. My son was getting bruises. He was showing up at my house with bruises, and I would call him in. And his dad would turn around and call back on me and say that I was the one causing the bruises. And the last straw was him jumping off a slide and breaking his elbow, which was nobody's fault. He thought he was kid danger, jumped off a slide and broke his elbow. And then that was the last straw. They took both kids.
They took them from you then, at that point.
Yeah, they took both of my kids, and then they took the 4 kids out of the other parents' home too.
What do you mean the other parents' home?
My son's father's home.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, they took 6 kids in total of that day.
Because he fell off the slide and broke his elbow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
Me too.
Dad's sister. Her dad has nothing to do with this case. Her dad's running around with warrants doing drugs. So why is my kid's placed with his family and not mine? You know what I mean?
That doesn't make sense.
On top of, she is wanting to adopt this one too.
Yeah.
That, I feel like, is why this caseworker
They want
so
to keep the
against
daughters
her
together.
having her daughter back, because they want her to be adopted with her sister.
My daughter's caseworker, her baby's daddy helped my daughter clean out her storage unit and asked for pictures of her chest. And that caseworker should never been on that case.
And this is why body cams are essential. All state caseworkers, just like a police officer, just like any other public servant, a judge, they record their cases. Why? Why are they not held to the same standards as the rest of our public servants?
Do you think it's money? They can't find anyone to work. They don't have the money to pay. Or
I think it's out of fear. Like, why did they freak out so bad? Oh, you're recording me. I didn't tell you you could record me. Well, if you're doing nothing wrong, you tell me the same thing when I told you couldn't come into my house. Well, what are you hiding? That you don't want me in your house. Well, what are you hiding that you don't want this session recorded?
let's make it transparent.
Exactly. It protects the families, it protects the caseworker, it protects all involved to have everything recorded.
Well, it's like the
Because your
cops, they
notes are
record.
not
Well, I
recorded.
also feel like if we need to be on drug patches, why aren't caseworkers on drug patches?
Or alcohol patches. You go down to Kelsey's bar down here on Friday and Saturday night, you see 20 caseworkers sitting in there
Yep.
drinking beer or mixed drinks.
So that was going to be my next line of questioning. Do you guys think we live in a small community? I mean, Nebraska itself is a small town.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
And do you think that, like you talking about, show me your chest, that kind of thing, do you think that they're going down to the bar, they're having conversations, talking
Yes.
about your
Yes.
children and your
Yes.
children and your children,
I do.
and saying, boy, did you see what she did? And, oh, well, she really ticked me off. Oh, let's let her have it.
Yes.
You know, do you think that
Yep,
they're using
because-
that against you?
Yes, and I know for a fact because I have a group, without going into details, I have a group and all the caseworkers, my caseworker has said, everybody knows about your group, everybody has seen your TikTok. So we know you guys,
They're stalking us.
you guys have multiple pictures of your kids on social media and that's not safe for them.
Well, that's like my caseworker telling me, like when she told me I have a report, you don't stay at your apartment. And I told her, I'm like, nobody knows where I live anyways besides you and the support worker. She was like, oh, there's tons of people that know where you live. How does the foster mom know where I
Her
live?
sponsor and didn't know where she lived.
Yeah, she didn't even know where I live. Like, nobody knows. Like, I don't tell people where I live. People don't come to my house.
Why are you following your people around?
Mm-hmm.
I have it all this paper in here. I have lists of stuff where the caseworker has lied, and the judge, she's in contempt of court because she didn't follow what the judge said. When my granddaughter was sent on an extended visit, she put it as placement. They were supposed to have her in counseling before she went up there, and they were supposed to do a home evaluation. That didn't happen for 7 months after she was down there. And when her dad got busted with methamphetamines and pills, it was the stepmom that called him in, saying that she didn't feel safe. And that's where they left her.
There's so many inconsistencies because they don't have to take accountability.
Well, yeah, and
And
about
that's
the body
where,
cams, though.
again, body cams should come into place.
Because my caseworker at a home visit was like, well, what makes this patch different than the rest of the patches? You would say that you haven't used, and later on you'd say you used. And I'm like, I have never said that. And she was like, well, at the beginning of this case, you said you hadn't used since before she was born, and then you turn around and said you used the week she got taken. And I'm like, you weren't even on my case at that time.
So it's bully. It's not helping. It's not, we want your family to be back together and whole. It's, we're gonna make your life as hard as possible
And be
to see
scared.
if you relapse so that we can just pull them that quick.
Or
One
be
of the
scared
people
the
that
rest
called to
of
do a
our-
welfare check on my granddaughter was the foster parent. The people that ended up with my grandson were the foster parents that called to do a welfare check. My daughter had 2 welfare checks called in on her on the same day. The first one, they didn't get what they wanted, so they had somebody else call in and send another agency over to do a welfare check.
Well,
And like,
I think it's just better that they have transparency
They
with the
should.
cameras, because there are so many inaccuracies, just like the police when high-speed pursuits. Their cameras are on, so if that dude jumps out their car and beats that cop up, he can't be like, oh, I never put hands on him. The caseworkers could do that. We could do that, hey, they said this, well, they could pull up the video and be like,
that didn't.
no, that didn't happen. It would protect everybody, and it wouldn't make us
I think
so
it would
paranoid.
stop so much of the corruption in any DHS all over the United States or any country. I think having the accountability the first moment they come up to your home to start the case. Hi, I'm so and so. You are being recorded at this time.
Easy enough.
They know it's a corrupt
Yes.
system.
And they're not for the children. They're not in what's best interest, because when we got the snowstorm, the support worker that supervises our visits, she told us the other day, it was yesterday in fact, she told us because she lives up in the Panhandle, and she's all like, you know, hey, I don't feel comfortable dragging the kids back and forth because there's jackknifed semis all over the road. But we could get the visit up here in Ogallala for you guys to travel.
Now, mind you, our truck is failing. The back brakes are gone. Our tires are bald. Okay,
Now, if you don't go, you're going to be missing a
Yes.
visit.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're not comfortable driving to North Platte with our kids. What
When
makes
the
you
roads are
think?
clear.
And what makes you think I want to get into a truck that is losing its brakes and has bald tires to drive that? No. And we literally have to argue with this lady over it, and it doesn't, like, we will have to get our caseworker involved, or she just won't stop.
Yep.
Or why are kids being placed so far
Exactly.
away from their families to begin with?
It's because
3 hours, 5 hours.
In a
Why?
totally different
Well,
county.
My
You're
daughter,
making it harder for these families to be together just by placing them 5 hours away from their families, from all their families. You say that I'm traumatizing my kid, but you just moved my kid 5 hours from grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle. Every single person that child knows, you just took them and placed them in a home. They have no idea where they are. And then say, I'm the one traumatizing my child. If I got on Facebook today and said, hey, I need a babysitter for my kids, and just some random girl said, okay, the state would have a problem with that because I'm placing my kids with a stranger, but they have no problem placing my kids with a stranger 5 hours away from their
last
kids.
thing
But
my
they're
grandson-
vetted to the
If you're gonna vet me, I would not have been UA'd. They were only gonna walk in and do a quick home visit to make sure, you know, that my home was up to standards.
It looked pretty.
And do a quick background check on me. Might have had to do like a foster family class. But you are gonna UA me? I could be sitting in the back doing meth with these kids in my house.
and everybody I know that's like has gotten respite with my daughter or anything like that, they don't get UA'd. They just do a background check and they're fine to see my kid.
Yeah, with the girl that just left, her supervisor, we were talking about it earlier, showed up high and dropped a bag of marijuana in her bathroom.
Her supervisor?
Her supervisor. I know 2 supervisors personally, one caseworker that actually smokes marijuana, and so does her husband. What the heck?
That's probably where they're getting your
Why
patches.
the patches are dirty?
Yep.